All right, good morning, Ravi. How's it going? We're back in business. We are live.
Hey, good morning, Alex.
Good.
It's
So we
going
have
good.
quite a few people on the line already, which is good. It's a Saturday morning, and we are here for our, I think it's the third episode of machine learning for .NET developers, right?
Yes, that's the third episode of Machine Learning
Awesome.
for
And
.NET
so yesterday
Developers.
what we did was, last time, 2 weeks ago, before the virtual Ml.NET conference, I think, we
Alex,
we can hear
can
you
you
well,
hear me?
Ravi.
Hear me?
Still fine, I think. I think you probably want to turn off the Twitch stream there as well on the side, the browser. It's probably a good thing to save some bandwidth. Let's see if that works. So, Ravi, I think you can still hear me, right? So Ravi is connecting to a remote PC for doing the machine learning things we're doing today, and it looks like we are losing the connection to the remote PC. But we'll see if you get you back, Ravi.
Alex, I don't know why your voice is breaking. I'm not able to hear you.
Okay, I think I'm here and I am connected, and I think we should be good. But I do think I'm losing you to some extent here right now. Can you still hear me, Ravi?
Now
good.
I can hear you.
Hi,
Now I
Journey.
can hear you.
Good to have you on the line here. Cool.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
All right, we are trying to get this work. It's completely fine. Glad to have you on the line, Journey. And thank you, Amber Dev. It's great. So let me know when you're up and running again, Ravi. I will talk a bit while we'll do that, and we'll kind of introduce what we're trying to do today while we get that set up. So, okay, good.
I think I'm ready. So you can see my you can share my screen. And
so I think let's give an introduction first. What we're doing today, Ravi. What are we going to do? What are we planning on getting fixed today?
So for today, what we will be doing is we'll be continue this as this is the third session of our series. Today, what we'll be doing is we will be deploying our model which we have created. So as I have took the latest version of the code from GitHub. I'll share I'll share the link of the GitHub where the code will be hosted on video, also on the YouTube video. It's basically hosted here. Let me show you. I'm sorry. So I have so we will be running this.
I think I lost you, Ravi. So what Ravi I think is saying is that today we're going to do deployment of machine learning models. We're going to try to do it in Azure Functions and ASP.NET Core applications, and we're going to keep building on the one we already have, which is the what's it called? The binary classification example here for a Titanic example, which should be good. And while I wait for Ravi to come back, I'll actually share my screen, I think, and we can kind of get started in some of these things. And then Ravi can take over once he gets back here. And Jeremy, it's great that you have it here for a little bit here, at least, for this session. But that's awesome. But let me go ahead and get started here a bit while we wait for Ravi to rejoin us, and we can see what we want to do here. So, what Ravi was explaining today is that we want to go ahead and deploy a machine learning model to production. Thank you for the follow. And the way we can do that is, first of all, looking at the model that we were building last time here. And let's look at that. And get Ravi back on the line as well. Hey Ravi, are you here again? That's completely fine. Do you want me to kind of lead through the day, and you can keep talking about it instead, so we can have a nice flow? Okay. All right, I will go ahead and include you in our talk then. Okay, perfect. Put you over here in the corner. All right, Ravi, so you and I are now on the screen, and I'm going to walk everyone through these examples here today. And we'll talk about it.
So So you can see, let me share you the link of the code where it the thing which we did last week. So you can take the repository.
I actually have a same repo we can use as well. So we can just use that one for now if you want to, Ravi. It's the same code more or less.
Okay. Okay.
Just for simplicity here. So I'll open it up real quick here to get this, and then we can walk this through, Ravi. So this is the code we were doing last time, more or less, right? So let's do a quick recap of that for like 2 minutes, and we'll dive into what we want to do today, which is deploying this, right?
Right.
So last time, I think you can see my screen as well, right, Ravi? Hopefully.
Yeah.
Can join in for Twitch stream otherwise.
I'm trying to open it now.
So last time what we did is we tried to...
I think I have to join the Twitch stream.
Go for it. Last time we did was we had this data set right here with different survivals from Titanic. So survived, passenger class, name, and age, and those kind of things, right? And what you did last time, Ravi, was that you created a model here where we read data from the CSV file. We create the data processing pipeline to make sure we transform the data into a reasonable format for a model. So you use something called one-hot encoding to transform the gender column here, and similarly for like the age column and the name, you replace missing values, and you make sure that the text was actually a numeric value. So some really good stuff you did last time there. And eventually what you did was you trained the model. So you did this training pipeline and appended a logistic regression algorithm. And the way we found that was by going in the ML context, looking at our ML task. So we were doing binary classification because we only had two choices, survived or not survived. And in there we had this specific algorithm, which was good. And you ended up with your model, and you did some evaluation here to get the metrics. And the metrics will tell us if it's accurate or not and how good it is in some ways. And then you dumped it to file. So, good stuff. So, I guess before we have to deploy it, right, Ravi, we have to run this to get the model.
Yeah, once again.
Yep. And I'll try to, once we get through this, I'm going to try to let you direct me instead of things to do. So you can be more interactive as well. I can be your, what is it called? In a circus when you have strings holding a doll and you pull the strings here. Okay, let's see here. Alright, so we can see here we train a model, we have a metrics, and in our case we had an accuracy of 76%. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff.
Last time it was, I think, 80%.
Yeah, because you did a better model.
Or 80.
Good morning, Sean. Yeah, puppet, thank you for the word. I completely lost the word there, Sean. Yeah, I think you did a better model than I did. I think you included less, you can see here that I included much more features, and actually that created a worse model, right? It's that interesting. So adding more features is not always getting a better model. It depends on if there's noise in it. So for example, one thing that definitely is noise in is a name. And you didn't include a name, because name doesn't really tell much about if you're going to survive or not, most likely. So that's something to think about, for sure. Alright, so what we did then is we save it, and we move on. And we print this nice thing here. I just wrote a quick console app here to kind of print it out and to give our metrics. So let's say now we have something that is good to go and we are happy with it. Now we need to make sure we can actually consume it and put it into production. So what are some ways we can do that, Ravi? Have you had a chance to read up on alternatives for deployment?
So since we are not using ML Builder, otherwise what I saw was if we use ML Builder, it can automatically create the projects for using it. So that was the one way. Another way would be probably you told me just before this call that we can use Azure functions, or we can use we can create ASP.NET API. I don't know how to do that. Probably you will have to guide me on how to doing it. So my suggestion would be that we should start with doing with ASP.NET Web API.
Okay.
And then once I have that web API thing ready, maybe I can convert it into a Blazor application, and we can give a UI also to that.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a good idea. And Blazor is definitely an alternative as well for deployment. So that's a great idea, I think, in general. Cool. All right, let's do that. Let me open up a new solution here. Let's do it over here instead. I want to create a new one here. So project, and I'm going to wing this a bit right now, but that's okay. What we want to do here is make sure that we create just a simple web API here. So we can probably search for an ASP.NET Core application, C#, and do that. And we can call this Titanic Predictions API. Okay. So that's a simple ASP.NET Core application, nothing special here, no magic. But I think I wanted to create an API. Okay, good, here. Let's create an API project here instead for the first start here, just to see how we would consume the model and how we could expose it through like a Postman call.
Yep.
So do that. We will start building this out. And I have to get rid of this menu. I'm not sure why it's stuck here. 1 second. Come on. 1 second.
Yeah,
sorry.
this menu thing.
Yeah, the menu's in the way, right?
Agreed. It happens on Windows most of the time. It happens when I'm doing a remote desktop. Also at that time also, this thing happened that I had to reconnect, like kind of disconnect to the remote desktop, and then I have to open that thing and close it again, or sometimes we have to restart the machine. I hope you don't have to do that. But that's the worst case scenario.
That's the first time it happens. I think we're good. Restarting Visual Studio seems to solve this issue. Cool. And anyone on the line today, actually, if you have any questions when me and Ravi are doing this, jump in, tell us what to do, give us suggestions on what not to do. And we are more than willing to pivot, I think. We want the engagement, we want the discussion, so definitely kind of jump in the chat. I already see folks here in the chat already, so I do see your messages, Ravi. We have another Ravi in the chat as well, Ravi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, Nenu Ravi Shankar.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi Nenu.
Good question, Sean. So an option would have been to add a solution product, right? Or another product to solution. So let's open up the Titanic Predictions solution real quick here. And I'll show you why that's not going to really work. So Titanic solution here, what it is, it's, come on. It's a console application. So we can't really, we can definitely add a solution we can add a product to the solution if you wanted to, and just add like a web API product to the solution. But we generally want to keep our training application separate from our deployment application, because they're two different things, and they will live in different CI pipelines, and they will live in different worlds in many ways. So we could add a product here, but for separation of concern here, we'll go ahead and add a completely new application here instead, a new solution. So I hope that makes sense. But again, this is up to your own opinion, so you can do whatever you want to. You're not limited, with this, more or less. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new controller here. So we need something to expose to the world. So for example, do you want to call it survival controller?
Yeah. Survival service.
Let's call it survival controller, because we controller that we're going to expose here.
Yeah.
So this one is going to be like our endpoint to the world to get exposed to here. And so things we want to, I'm going to start building it up from like the consumer perspective first, and then we'll look at how we can wire it up underneath the surface. Because I think that if you start on the wiring up part, it will be difficult to understand how we consume it. Okay.
Right.
So how would you call this, Ravi? What are your thoughts on like ways we will consume this?
So we already have the model, and we already have we have the model. But I remember that in last time we had have one model also for this thing, for our data also we have a model, right? So what we can do is probably we can use that object to get the value, like pass some value of that object. Like we can pass the name, that okay, this is the name or unique identifier, something like traveler ID or something like that, if I see the data.
Exactly, yeah.
And then from there we can see that whether that person survived or not. So if I go through the code, last time we have one model called passenger.
Yep.
So in passenger we have one field called I think we have just passenger class, survived, sex and age. So we haven't added the rest of the fields, so we'll add the rest of the field where we have one passenger ID field. So what we can do is maybe we can pass the passenger ID, and the model can return us the value that whether that particular passenger has survived or not.
Interesting.
And what we can do is passenger ID and name and get the same
That's
thing.
an interesting thought. So you're almost on the right track. I want to kind of elaborate a bit on the passing the ID a bit here. So remember that the model we trained is not used to predict data that we know. It's used to predict data we don't know. So we have passing a passenger ID doesn't really give us much in the sense that we don't know anything more about the person, right? Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So we have trained our data we have trained our model on data we know. That's all good. And now we're going to take our model out in the park and walk around with it and say, it just predict things for us on things it's never seen before. It's unseen data. So passenger ID for us right now doesn't mean anything, because we need to know everything about the specific passenger that we're going to predict the survival chances for instead. So, but you're on the right track otherwise on passenger. So what we would need here is we would need a get method here, for example called predict, and it will take an argument that we'll just look at in a bit, and it will be a type post, sorry. And you were on the right track here. So what it needs to take here is the schema of the data. So in our case, it's going to be the passenger, right?
Right.
So we will get the passenger information, and here it will do some predictions. That's kind of the idea. And we'll look at the predictions in a bit. But I think what we want to do first is make sure we have the passenger schema defined. Okay? So we can actually just go straight back to our model here and just copy this one right here. So this is the schema we have, and this is what we need our data to look like when we pass it in here. If that makes sense.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and copy this over. Add a new class here for that. We'll be a bit sloppy and just add one right here. So passenger. We'll swap this out. And to get this to work, we also need to install our dependencies. So even in the application that we expose to the world for our predictions, we do need to have Ml installed. Otherwise, you won't get this to work here. So we can do that real quick in our package console here and just install this package for us. So we'll say install package ml.microsoft.ml, and we pull that dependency down here for us. That'll be good. And I misspelled it, I think. Okay. Let me go to NuGet repository here. I think I misspelled it, but that's okay.
That's the reason I hate command lines, frankly speaking.
I like it because it's quicker, but yeah, it's annoying when you misspell something and it's like, oh. I promise you it was like a lowercase L or something like that. Huh. No, I don't know. I actually don't know where that happened. It happened before as well for me. I think it's something with my studio, with my setup for repos. But that's okay. Alright. So now we can see here that we can go ahead and install the namespace here, and we have our proper channel set up, and passenger shows up properly here. So that's pretty good, right? Awesome stuff. So somewhere here now we need to return something, true or false or whatever, to get it to work. But that goes into now we kind of go into how we actually going to use our prediction engine here in this sense. So that's going to be kind of fun to do. The easiest way to do this is to create something called a prediction engine. And I'm going to do the wrong way first here and show you the right way afterwards, deliberately. Okay, I'm going to try to show you the path of least resistance right now, and then I'll talk about why that's not a good idea. So the path of least resistance here would be to open an ML context, just like we did when we trained the model, remember? Everything lives on the ML context. All of our functions, our methods, everything else lives here. So what we can do is create a new one of those first. The second thing we want to do here, I think we lost your camera, Ravi, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think it's coming now?
Yep, we're back again, back in business.
Okay.
The second thing you want to do now...
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah. Is load our model. So now we need to figure out where our model is. And you can do this in many different ways here. But we will make it as simple as possible here. I think it's this model load. So you see here, if we do this, the load method, we had the save method live on the model catalog, and now we have the load model load method living there as well. So what we need to define here is the path to the file, and you could of course embed it in your application, and it can be a relative file to your binaries. That's completely possible. For us, what we're going to do is just do the simplest possible way. So I'm going to open up where I have this solution, and I'm going to go ahead and copy that path instead. And I believe we have it in Ml Titanic somewhere. And I think we have it in the repo here, bin folder, because this is where we built it, right? I have an old app here apparently. So this is the model right here. I definitely need to update that core version of this app. So it's going to be here, and it's going to be called model.zip. So that's just the path to the model, right? So we define where it is, so when we load this, we'll find a way to load it. The second thing here you'll see is that we need to have more overloads here. And I don't think we need this. Or do we? Let's see.
So do we need to...
What's that?
So you are saying that we need to give the whole hard-coded path of that output model.zip, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's just the way we do it right now. There are multiple other ways of loading the model, so this is just one way. So I'm going to show you the simplest possible way right now, and then we'll look at some other ways later.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think I always forget how you can do this, but is this the way to do this? And this type is going to be data view schema. 1 second here. Okay, so this is definitely not the best way of doing it. It's a way of doing it. But in general, what you do is you open an ML context, you load a model, and what you then do is create a prediction engine. So we'll do a prediction engine, and that's going to kind of make our predictions for us. So on that class, we'll have a predict method that we can use. But what we need to define here is the schema. So you'll see here that we have a T source and T destination. So source is going to be the input. So that's going to be pretty simple for us, passenger. And destination is going to be what we're going to put our predictions on. And we don't have that yet. So we need to create a schema for that. And that's super simple, but it's something we need to do. And in general, what it is only a new class. So it's a new class, and we'll call it Titanic Prediction. And what it will do is we'll have two properties that we will use. The first one is going to be the most obvious one, which is going to be is survived, right? Or survived. It's going to be what we want to predict. So we'll get this back and we'll find things on it. So is survived is going to be kind of the actual final answer. And the second thing we want in this schema, what do you think that could be, Ravi? It's not as obvious, but maybe you can think of it. What else do you think?
Maybe we can Yeah, is survived or like two things are coming into my mind.
Yep.
One would be like the name of the person. I don't know how much it is related. And second thing should be maybe like the percentage of accuracy, that okay,
Yes.
we are
Yes.
certain percent correct that survived.
Yes, exactly. Good job, Ravi. And Sean as well, you were also on the money there. So it's not accuracy, but it's very related. And it's going to be something called score.
Okay.
So it's like exactly what you were saying there is how close are we? So everything is gray here. We don't know if it's black or white, or like it's not like yes, survived or not survived. It's like we're pretty sure he survived. So that's a score here. But we need to be able to find these columns. We do need to name these columns, and I always forget this, but I think it's column name. I'm doing a little freestyle here, so predicted. It's called predicted label, I think. We'll see if this works. I'm pretty sure it's called predicted label. Called score. But exactly. So what we're gonna get back here is the value we want to predict, as well as how accurate it is, or how like likely it is. We'll say. All right, Ravi, back in business.
Yeah, seems like today internet is not interested in letting us do our job.
That is fine.
It's giving a lot of fish.
So we have our prediction here. So that would be Titanic Prediction here. That's the schema we want. So that's really cool. And let's see if this is the only thing we need to do here. Okay, it doesn't take 0 arguments, and that's because we need a model as well, I think. Anything else here that we need? Or what are we missing here? That should be what is supposed to take here, so let's see.
Prediction engine is saying...
Okay, let's see. That should be what we want to have, so I'm a little bit surprised that doesn't want to work. Titanic Prediction. What is it missing here? What is it missing? It's too... Nah, the ref... What are you saying, Sean? The ref? That should be a simple thing here for sure, but what is it missing here? This should not be an issue. Yeah, I was looking at it, but it was saying that it has to have a constructor for 0 arguments. I wonder if they changed this in 1.5 or not.
Okay, it's saying
It has 0. It has 0 constructors with 0 arguments. Does it have 2 constructors? Is it the class? Oh, okay. I think what it done is made it internal. Interesting. Okay. I think they've changed something in 1.5 here, because this is not how it used to be before. You should be able to create this for yourself, which is doesn't seem to be the case anymore here. And if not, we'll kind of go to the next solution anyway, which is the better solution. But I am a little bit surprised actually that...
okay, MBR dev is saying that it is sealed.
Yeah, I mean, so the constructor is internal, and so we can't necessarily call it, that's why. The seal is just because we can't inherit from it, but that's okay. But I am surprised that it won't do this. But this is fun, right? This is when you have a change for some reason that you don't know. Titanic Prediction. Alright, let's see if... It should be fine, it should be fine. Alright, so in general, what you used to be able to do here, and I'm not sure why it doesn't happen anymore, you would create a prediction engine, you will call predict on that engine, and then you will return a value. But I think what they've done is they've locked down this possibility a bit more, to make more sense for other scenarios, which is good. So what we'll do instead is that we will go into the right way of doing it, because obviously this is the wrong way of doing it, and it's so wrong apparently that the ML team has decided to not do it anymore, which is good.
Okay.
All right, so the idea instead here, what we want to do, and the good way of doing it is, the issue with doing like this is that the prediction engine is not thread safe. So if you call this method multiple times, you will get different results all the time, because it's not thread safe. So we can't instantiate the prediction engine like this. We need to do a better way of doing this. And what we want to do instead is we want to pass in prediction engine like this. Titanic Prediction. So we need to do something like this instead, where we pass this in. And instead of doing all this blah 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 here, let me say this just for now, because we need it later. But what you would do here is just say, okay, perfect. Let's do this. We'll get the... they moved it. Did they move it? Is that what you're saying? Or maybe it's just me not remembering correctly. I think, Sean, that you are much more awake than I am. So, that is good. Come on. ML context.
Model.create.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for being more awake than I am. So let's finish this example in that case, so we can get that working first. And that will be a Titanic Prediction here. And we'll remove this for now. So what you can see here is we'll need to pass in the model as well here, I think. And here we go. Now we're in business. Thank you. So we get something called a prediction engine, which is not thread safe, but is useful for like predicting things. And what we can do then is we can get a prediction like this and say, prediction engine, please predict what we want here. And what we do is just pass in the schema. In our case here, we're passing in the schema to passenger. So we'll pass in the passenger into here. And that will give us an output of the same type that we have for our Titanic prediction. And what we're going to do is just return prediction.survived is survived. Like that. And we'll get a prediction as simple as that. Thank you, Sean, for helping out with that example there. So if we build this, and if we call this a postman, what I'm hoping we'll get here is actually loading the model and getting a prediction engine and getting a prediction. And I've had some issues lately with the postman, but we'll see if we can get this working real quick here. So go ahead and build this and see if we can run it. And that would be good. Okay, so we run this. Let's not run it in Docker for now. Let's run it in just IX Express. And let's start up Postman. Okay. Okay. Postman starting up here. We have our forecast service here. That's all good. We don't need that, but that's okay. But we'll get the URL here. And I think I have an example here before. Let's see, this is starting up. Okay, so that works as an API. That is all good. And we got Postman here. Let me get a new caller, Postman. Titanic. Can I just do this? Okay. Well, I wanted to remove the old one here first, but that's okay. We'll do that now. Okay, so to call the service, it should be a simple API call. We'll go ahead and copy this one here over. So that will be our end API. So base URL. And then we need to call the survival. So I think we called it survival controller. So it should be survival. Should be the rest here. Right? And this is going to be post method. And I think it's going to go straight to the base here. And for our body here, we need to define some things here. So if you look at the schema, we need to mimic the schema for our things here. So let me pull this out and dock it here, and dock postman like that. And now we need to kind of mimic the schema here, because we need to have the same input data. Because again, this is data we haven't seen before, this is new data, and we need to have the same schema in general. So
I think there are some like tools to create JSON from the class, so we can use that.
We could. It will take me 1 minute to write it otherwise. Let's type it out.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, there's certainly a lot of tools here, for sure. Or, well, I guess we got a good one in chat here, so I guess I have to try it now, because someone gave a suggestion. Cool. Alright, so let's try it. Why not? I always like learning something new when I stream, so this is a great opportunity. So can I just copy paste this in here? Is that what you're saying? Oh, come on, studio. Okay. So I copy that in there. JSON. Oh, okay, we need the whole thing. Interesting. I don't think actually it's not going to work, I think, because it doesn't know what to do with the load columns here. Yep. So it doesn't know what to do with load columns. But maybe I can remove that.
Yeah. Probably it would be more work to remove the load columns and then create an object of it and then probably get the JSON. So, but anyways.
Come on, this is... I would have been done now. Alright, there we go.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, it's fine. This is good. It was good to learn. Actually, I've never used one of these before, so... Alright. I don't think we need to survive one, but we'll remove that for now. So, passenger class here is like 1, 2, 3. So let's say we're in the lowest passenger class, 3. And let's say my name is Alex. I think we need some of that though. And I'm a male. And 33. And I have no siblings on board. I'm going myself to the US. Perfect. So let's see if we actually have a breakpoint here in our prediction here. And let's see if it breaks. Because we may have some issues here with getting Postman to run, but we'll try it. So if you run this, we had an issue somewhere, I think. Where's response? Not found. Okay, so we have not found exception. So why is that? Oh, API, that's why. So we need to have the API. Let's try it again. Okay, perfect. So hitting the method. So let's look at the method a bit here. So hopefully we'll find this one. Okay, I think we found it. That's a good sign. Okay, so now we will see if it works. So now it's going to go do the prediction. The thing here is I may have misspelled some of the load column names here, so we may not work, but we'll see. Okay, actually worked. And I did not survive, because I'm in the lowest passenger class. But that's kind of the general thing here, and we'll see you return false. So now we can play around with this a bit. We can say, okay, well I am actually my first class. My name is Alexandra now. I'm female. And I'm 15. In that case, I will survive. So it actually works. Like it's changing the behavior depending on my input data. I wanted to do that to make sure it's not like hard coded or not working. But if you remember like Titanic, I mean in general what was happening there is that lowest passenger class, they were under deck, they were locked down, couldn't get up. So being in the third class is not a good idea. Second of all, like it was more chivalry, so females and children, they were put on the boats first. So your chance of surviving was probably higher if you were female and you were younger. So, cool. What do you think about that, Ravi? A couple lines of code here, and we're at least doing something.
Yes.
All right.
That's nice. That look nice.
Should we do it the right way now? Yes.
Before that, I think I have one probably it might be a little bit different from the league, but can we do all these in Visual Studio Code?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. You can do that if you want to as well.
Yeah, because the thing is that if we do it in Visual, earlier I was thinking that I will search for it, but while searching I got to know, I came to know about one of your 4 months old video where you have told like you have created one video about how to do some machine learning stuff using Visual Studio Code and Jupyter Notebook. So probably we'll forget about Jupyter Notebook. Can we do all these things in Visual Studio Code, so that like if we can do it on Visual Studio Code, maybe next time when we do it, I'll run it from my Visual Studio Code on the Mac. I don't have to look for a Windows machine.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's completely possible. There's no limitations there. So you can do that if you want to. It works just fine.
Yeah, so
cool.
Yeah, so either way, like, or you can do it like you were saying that to do it in correct way. So either you can do it in correct way and then move it to Visual Studio Code, or we can do it directly from the Visual Studio Code.
Let's do the right way first to show you kind of what the idea is here, because this is obviously this is the piping that we need. But we can do it simpler and we can do it cleaner.
Okay.
And I want to show that, because that's kind of, if someone does it in production, I don't want to see this video and say, hey, I'm going to do this. Because Alex said that.
Okay.
Because that's the wrong way.
Okay.
So the right way of doing it here would have been to inject it again, right? So what we would have done here, the simplest way possible, that is very clean, is saying, okay, I need to predict something. So I will inject my prediction engine pool here, and I know it's of type passenger and Titanic Prediction. And we will do that, and then we'll just say, okay, we'll do that. And this code here would be a lot simpler then, because all of this can go away. So we'll just say this prediction engine, and we can honestly just do this, and then it is survived, and we can even make it like a one-line code here if we want to. So return. So that's a lot cleaner, right? You can get your prediction engine pool, you pass in your data, and you just return is survived. Yeah, you can do it if you wanted to. You can extract the method, but you actually don't need that code. You don't need all that code I just show you. All the things that you need really is all here. So, and not sure where to say it's not used, but it's used. Okay, but if you run this right now, it's not going to work, because we need to set up our dependency injection here to actually do this. So we need to do some startup magic here to make sure this works properly. Okay. And to do that, we need to go to our services, I think, here. And one thing we need to install there first is an other NuGet package. So we need to go and install an other machine learning NuGet package that will give us some extension methods to do this properly. And I think it's called Microsoft ML extensions. Let's see. Maybe it's called extension ML. That's probably it. Yes. So this one is like an integration package for ML models and scalable services. And when they mean scalable, what they mean is thread safe. So if you go ahead and install this, and say yes to give our lives away, we should get some fun methods here to work with instead. Okay. So, with that installed, what we can do instead here is just do like services call here. Dot, let's see, what's it called? It's called something with add prediction. Yes, okay, add prediction engine pool. And by doing that, I think we have to define the data and the prediction here. And the data, again, is going to be a schema, right? Input schema. And the prediction here is going to be Titanic Prediction, like that. And the arguments here are a little bit different than before. So instead of, well, first of all, we have to do this. You have to define where the model is. So now we have defined the input data, and we define the prediction that we're getting out of it, which is good. But we also need to define where we're getting our model from. Is it going from like a file on disk again, which is the from file, or is it going from URI, which would be like a blob storage container or something like that, so you can store it remotely without needing to know where it is. The cool thing about like from URI or from URL here is that you can actually watch for changes, and the same thing from a file. So an overload here is like, let's say we do this file path here, you can see we have a boolean here, watch for changes. So if you want to just deploy a new model on the fly to your location that this API is looking at, it will automatically pick that up without recycling the application and start using that for predictions. So I think that's just really, really cool feature and very useful. But in our case, what we're going to do is we're going to find a path again to the model, and we're going to put it in here instead. And I always forget to do that. And we'll say model.zip. And that should be all we need, honestly. So instead of having that create a completely new model ML context and a prediction engine, what we do is that it's creating this pool. And this pool here will hold a number of prediction engines itself, and it will make sure that we can give a couple of them where needed, and if something is not available, it will create more if possible, or it will just halt the threads. So it's a really good kind of coordination effort here to make sure it's thread safe and scalable if you have multiple predictions. Make sense? Okay,
yep.
So we can run it again to see if it works. Put a breakpoint in the controller here. Start this up. Okay, starting up right here. Okay, that's good. So let's call this again here. And it's failing. Interesting. So we have some issues that we need to solve here. It's fun with doing it live. Okay, so we had an issue with activating the thing right here. Let's see why that would be. We have set up this properly, I think. Is it not finding it? Is that the issue? Let's see what it's saying here. It's not giving us much information, is it? Okay, let's take a breakpoint here and see if we learn anything else. It's like it's failing without getting there. What do you mean with that exactly? Do you need extension methods? Oh, maybe actually what we need is... Sorry, I think I may be off chart here. I think what I'm missing here is a simple typo. I think this actually needs to be pool here. And that's probably the issue. I think that is it, but let's try that and see. So mrdev here. Actually, so what we're doing is that we just need to do the startup here instead. So instead of using like use ML, we just need to add a prediction and pool here. We don't need to do anything like use ML, although that would be very reasonable, I think, for sure. It's a good suggestion. I do think the issue was that we're using the prediction engine directly when it should have been the pool that we should have been accessing. So let's try that again. Yep, that was it. So we can't pass in the prediction engine, it needs to be the prediction engine pool instead. And it will provide us with what we need here. That's happening when you do live. And we'll get through again. That's good. So that really worked well. It seems to be kind of functioning properly. The thing to think about here is that you can also do a lot of overloads here. So for example, like I think we have more overloads here. Yes, so you see here that we could have done like, ooh, and I just want to show this for fun. But you can see here that we have an overload for model name. So it's possible to register multiple models for the same schema with different names. For example, you can have version 1, version 2, or you can have a completely different prediction there. And you can access those models by name instead if you wanted to. Normally what you would do is just have one model for the same schema, but maybe you have the same data, same schema, and you want to do one prediction for like survived or not survived, and another prediction for price of the fare, for example. So that would be a regression model. And they both would mostly use the same schema, but you don't want them to be mixed up. So you can separate them with different model names instead, and that would be the way to do it, I think. So yeah, cool. So that's the way how you would do it in the API, Ravi, in a good way for sure.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you want to do an Azure function, we can do it. It's very similar. It has the same kind of idea to kind of wire things up. Is that something you want to pursue, or do you want to
So
talk about next?
I think we can. What we can do is probably probably you can run what we did last week and what we did this week also. We can we try both of them in Visual Studio Code? So I just want to see how we can do that in Visual Studio Code, and then probably
Okay.
I think next week we can see how we can do it in a Blazor application. So, or I can use this API in a Blazor application.
Sounds good. I'm not a Blazor expert, so I think that'll be great if you want to do that. But it's definitely possible.
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah, so I'll do that. I can create a UI. Can create a UI, and we can a Blazor application. But for now, we can try to do it in a Visual Studio Code. How we can do it in. So what all things do we need in Visual Studio Code to work with ML.NET? Like in when we are working with Visual Studio, we had to just install .NET Core this thing. We just have to install the .NET Core branch, and then it will work. So in this case, in Visual Studio Code, what all things do we need to install? We already have .NET Core installed on our machine, and Visual Studio Code is already there. So apart from that, what we have to do now?
Nothing. You're all good to go.
Okay.
It's the same thing. So you see here that all I can do now is I'm going to go into the folder we have the model in, or like the code in. So we can see that we'll open up that folder here in Visual Studio Code, and we'll get the navigation to the left, and we'll see here that we have the. Let's go one more layer in actually. Let's go into Titanic Predictions here. Let's open up that folder. And we'll see here that we have our program file right here. So this is the program file we were running before to train a model in, right? Same thing. And we can put a breakpoint here, as always, and hit F5, just like we would do in Visual Studio. There's no difference really. And this is going to build here, and it's going to load. And let's see, we'll install some dependencies maybe that it doesn't have. Come on, you can do it. But in general, it'll be the same thing. It's going to run through the application and train a model and build it as well. And if you want to deploy it in Azure Function, it's the same idea as well.
Hello.
Yep, we got you, Ravi.
Today we have some serious issues of internet.
No worries. So you see here now, I'm done with my installation of dependencies here, which is just...
Alex, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I hear you, Ravi. I hear you.
Okay.
All right. Cool. So I'm just showing you right here that it's running right now, so it's building the application, and it is hitting the breakpoints that we hit before. And just like you can do in Studio, you can kind of walk through it. You don't need anything else really here that to do this. You can see how we just train it.
Okay, and
Yep, go for it.
Okay.
And we'll see here we have the variables on the side.
Yeah, so how to run it, like how to execute it, and how to add that NuGet package?
Same thing. So it's the same thing. So for example, what if you want to do? Let's say we create a new one here, just to. Let's create a new one here. So let's open up. 1 second here. It's a good question. So let's say we open up a new terminal, and we don't need to do conda activate base. I'm not sure what that is. Let's create a new solution here. So let that new. I think it's console app, right? Console, and we can call it Ravi Predictions. And I think I do that. So that's going to create a simple console application for us, I think, hopefully. And it's going to restore that simply thing. Yeah, I know. That was my second choice, Emily, help one. But you have to try first. The only way to learn is to fail, I think. Alright, so if you navigate into your solution and go ahead and open up that in a separate, in a new one here. if you want to install the Ml dependency in this one here, it's the same thing. What you do is you open up a terminal, you say .NET, install, is it add package Microsoft.ml. So you have to go away from the NuGet commands in the package command console here, and instead you need to use the .NET CLI here for these things. So in our case, we added the Ml package here using that command.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So,
yeah.
So in our case here, like, it would have been super simple here, and I'm not going to do everything here right now, but what we would do is just ml context, new ml context, and it would be able to find the dependency, I think, in a second here. Okay. So I have an issue with my package sources that is really annoying, so I can't download like this. I need to fix that first. But in theory, this is really how you do it, and you would do like a ml context, and keep doing the thing you always do, right? So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's like the same idea, at least from Studio. So definitely go ahead and do that if you want to, Ravi.
No. I think I got the drift. It's fine now. How to? And by the way, I found a very good Visual Studio Code plugin for those who are like people like me who are more interested in running this thing opening the Solution Explorer, who don't want to forget that Solution Explorer of Visual Studio. They can use this Solution Explorer. There is one Solution Explorer plugin for Visual Studio Code. Alex, I have shared that link on Skype to you.
Okay.
So you can from Marketplace, you can install it on Visual Studio Code, and then you can open the solution like a Solution Explorer, the way you do it in Visual Studio.
That's helpful. Definitely something you can use for sure. That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think next time what we're going to do is look at the Blazor app, right? Is that what we want to do? And create a UI for us?
Yeah. Yes. Next time we'll create a UI for this in the Blazor app, and probably next time I'll be hosting. I'll try to do the setup and all.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and let's hope that next time we don't have this much disturbance from the internet.
Sounds good, Ravi. Looking forward to it. Well, I hope everyone on the stream today has learned something useful, and if you haven't, let us know, and we'll make sure you learn something useful next time.
Yeah, sure.
So, Ravi, what exactly is the question for joining the call? Are you talking about a Skype call, or are you talking about the stream right now? Because I think those are different things. Well, the Skype call you have to call in, but right now it's just me and Ravi on that call. Is there something you want to discuss about on a stream live, for example? That's what you want to call in, or? Sure, we can definitely talk about that offline if you want to. You can send me a DM on Twitter if you like, or I think it's called a whisper on Twitch. We can talk about it offline. That's completely fine. Cool. Alright, well, thank you very much for joining in today, and we will make sure we upload it on YouTube as well, and Ravi will put it on your YouTube channel, and you can rewatch it if you want to. And I think, Ravi, you're still streaming, right? Blazor topics?
Yeah, I'm still streaming, hopefully. I was on break. I'll be on break a few more days, but I'll be streaming on the Blazor topics on twitch.tv/techie.her, and I have a YouTube channel also. So, and I'm planning to start sessions on. So this is one of my. I have one question for people from India. Will they be interested in learning ML.NET or other things in Hindi?
Ooh, I want to learn Hindi.
Yeah, we can have a session for that. we can have our own discussion for that thing. But yes, we'll. I'm thinking on starting something starting creating content in Hindi probably.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely put the poll out there. I think that's a good suggestion. That'll be fun. For anyone who wants to follow me outside of the Saturdays with Ravi, I work on the mlops.net tool with some folks on the stream today as well, and that's a machine learning DevOps tool to manage the lifecycle of machine learning model. and it's slowly getting somewhere, which is exciting. So you can chime in, you can just hang out with us, whatever you want to do. It's fun. All right, well, Ravi, thank you for joining today and having the talk and looking at how to deploying a model. That was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining our sessions.
All right. Well, thank you everyone online. We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.